When you talk about the gods of heavy metal, Zakk Wylde doesn't just make the list, he defines it. With his fierce mane, thunderous riffs, and that unmistakable cross-shaped guitar slung over his shoulder, he carved his name into rock history. But beyond the screaming fans and electrifying solos lies a story few dare to tell. It's a tale marked by brutal sacrifices, near-death struggles, and a relentless fight to stay true to his art while battling the darkness that fame brought with it. This is the untold journey of a man who didn't just play metal, he bled it. Doctors once told him, "You'll either need a liver transplant or you won't make it, and your pancreas isn't far behind." These were not just health scares, they were life-threatening realities. Add to that the heartbreak of being dropped from bands, the sting of betrayal, and waves of criticism from the very heavy metal community that once worshipped him. So what really happened? And how did Zakk Wylde keep that fire alive through it all? Born Jeffrey Philip Wieland in Bayonne, New Jersey, Zakk's journey was never handed to him, it was earned, note by note, riff by riff. Before the spotlight, he scrubbed floors at gas stations and flipped burgers just to get by. But in his small bedroom, something powerful was brewing. Teaching himself guitar with blistered fingers and an obsession for sound, he poured himself into every chord. His biggest inspiration? Paranoid, by Black Sabbath. That one song sparked the raw energy that would one day make him a titan of metal. In 1987, at just 20 years old, Zakk Wylde's life took a thunderous turn. Armed with nothing but a cassette demo and raw talent, he mailed his guitar recordings to Ozzy Osbourne's team, who were quietly searching for a new axe slinger. Out of hundreds of submissions, it was Zakk's blistering sound that rose above the rest. That moment catapulted him from the quiet corners of Bayonne, New Jersey, to the roaring global stage of rock legends. What followed was pure electricity. The chemistry between Ozzy and Zakk ignited a new era in metal history. Their collaboration exploded with the 1991 release of No More Tears, where tracks like Mama, I'm Coming Home, and the title anthem became instant classics. Zakk's playing was unmistakable, crushing riffs, piercing tones, screaming pinch harmonics, and solos drenched in emotion. He didn't just play the guitar, he commanded it, unleashing a style that would forever reshape the sound of heavy metal. Rolling Stone once declared, Zakk Wylde brought a modern edge to No More Tears while preserving Ozzy Osbourne's spirit, and they were right. But Zakk wasn't built to stand in someone else's shadow forever. In 1998, he carved out his own kingdom by founding Black Label Society, a band that wasn't just about music, it was about identity, power, and raw emotion. Albums like Sonic Brew and Stronger Than Death smashed boundaries, blending crushing metal with gritty southern rock and soul-wrenching blues. The result was a sound as fierce as it was honest. But Black Label Society wasn't just a musical project, it was Zakk's sanctuary. From gas station floors in New Jersey to stadium stages around the world, he had become a living emblem of heavy metal resilience. Yet, not even fame could shield him from tragedy. Behind the roaring anthems and head-banging crowds, a devastating personal loss was waiting, one that would strike deeper than any riff, pushing him into a darkness that music alone couldn't fix. Nathan Gale, the gunman, is seen charging on a stage with a gun drawn while sporting a baseball cap and black jacket. He was going directly to the lead guitarist for the group, Dimebag Darrell. The anguish of losing a companion. An unimaginable catastrophe rocked the heavy metal scene on December 8, 2004. Panta's talented guitarist Dimebag Darrell was shot on stage while playing with Damageplan at the Al Rosa Villa Bar in Columbus, Ohio. Nathan Gale, the shooter, fired many times before being shot and killed by police. Dimebag passed away at age 38. It was more than just a fellow musician's passing for Zakk Wylde. The loss was that of a real brother. Years of touring together had fostered their connection as they talked about guitars and their shared love of heavy metal. Dime was the light in the room, always making everyone laugh, Zakk stated in an interview with Revolver magazine. The hole caused by losing him never goes away. Zakk was devastated by Dimebag's unexpected death. The Black Label Society song, In This River. Despite not being composed specifically for Dimebag, Zakk used it as an homage to his close friend. The song was a confession, a means for Zakk to convey the unimaginable and preserve Dimag's spirit in his music with its melancholic tune and poignant lyrics. Zakk also participated in the yearly motorcycle rally called Ride for D, which honors Dimag's legacy. "We're here to live in Dime's spirit, play music with all of our hearts, and love our brothers," Zakk stated in a speech that Blabbermouth reported. The occasion is not merely a memorial service. It serves as a representation of solidarity among metalheads. Zakk regularly brings up Dimebag in articles and interviews, demonstrating how his friend's energy still inspires his stage presence and innovation. He wasn't alone in this misery. It served as a heartbreaking reminder to everyone in the metal community of the frailty of life and the value of the people we care about. However, a fresh chapter arose from that catastrophe. And in it, Zakk took on a new job that came with a lot of pressure and would put him in the middle of a lot of controversy in the heavy metal community. The reunion of Panta and the divergent views. After more than 20 years away from the stage, Panta announced a reunion tour in 2023 with original members Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown. Dimebag Darrell was asked to stand in as guitarist, and Zakk Wylde accepted. Fans immediately began debating the choice. Zakk stated, "I'm not trying to replace Dime because that's impossible," in an interview with Guitar World. "I simply want the audience to hear Panta's songs so they can once more experience the band's power." Some supporters were happy that Zakk was selected since they respected his talent and the strong bond he had with Dimag. Others expressed strong objection, claiming that the spirit and distinctive style that Dimag left behind could never be fully recreated. Zakk spent hours watching old footage of Dimag's playing in order to get ready for the tour. He added his own distinctive pinch, harmonics, wah-driven solos, and delicate nuances while maintaining Panta's original intensity. He clarified in an interview with Loudwire, "I want to preserve Panta's soul without entirely replicating it. That's how I appreciate you." Zakk's performances were usually intense, particularly in Panta's birthplace of Arlington, Texas, when he stepped down to greet and take pictures with supporters after the show. The fan base's responses remained divided. Zakk was commended by many for bringing timeless songs to life. Zakk Wylde, according to Metal Injection, gives the songs fresh life, even though occasionally his flair outshines the originals. However, comments on X implied that Panta's identity was obscured by the replacement. "Zakk is fantastic, but Panta isn't Panta without Dime," according to one user. "It feels less like a reunion and more like a memorial." Selmo and Phil also participated in a Loudwire interview. "In order to preserve the music of Vinnie Paul and Dimebag, we are taking this action." Despite the controversy, the tour attracted tens of thousands of fans with its electrifying performances and immortal riffs that seemed to never fade. Zakk saw his involvement in Panta as more than just a technical one. He had to balance upholding a legacy with speaking up for himself. The conflicting responses show how much the name Panta is associated with and how high the fans' expectations are. However, this difficulty was just the start. Zakk was in for a more intense, intimate struggle. A struggle for his life itself. The fight against blood clots. Zakk Wylde had one of the worst crises of his life in 2009. Blockages in the blood vessels caused by blood clots can result in heart attacks or strokes. He initially just had a dull chest ache and persistent weariness. He figured it was fatigue from his hectic tour schedule. However, everything changed after a single doctor appointment. He remembers the doctor saying, "You need to be hospitalized now," in an interview with Kerrang! "You might not survive the week if you wait." Zakk was forced to halt everything once the warning hit him like a punch to the gut. It was something he hadn't done for more than 20 years. Weeks passed during the course of treatment. In order to manage the clots, Zakk started taking blood thinners and undergoing extensive testing. Fans were devastated when Black Label Society's planned performances in North America and Europe were cancelled. As Zakk lay in a hospital bed encircled by cables and equipment, he realized his own limitations. "I used to think I was Superman touring non-stop playing every night," he remarked in an interview with Metal Hammer. All I wanted, though, was to be able to hold my guitar once more and make it back to the stage. It was more than just a physical conflict. He was obliged to consider everything as a result of this mental calculation. His greatest anchor was his family. He was always accompanied by his wife, Barbarana, and their 4 children, Jesse and Haley Ray Hendrick Sabbath. "I keep fighting because of Barbara and the kids," he wrote in a post on X. "I appreciate your support, everyone. I'll return and burn down the stage once more." Additionally, fans did not watch from the sidelines. Reddit and X were inundated with messages. It wasn't just words of encouragement. They demonstrated Zakk standing in the heavy metal scene as a resilient and unwavering figure. Order of the Black, a Black Label Society album that encapsulated the spirit of survival, was Zakk's return after his recuperation. With its dramatic lyrics and booming melodies, the song Parade of the Dead was viewed as a declaration of resistance. According to Loudwire, Zakk turned his darkest days into fierce music, and Order of the Black stands as a testament to his unbreakable spirit. The CD was more than just a box office hit. It was the start of something new. "I was taught by illness that life is more valuable than I ever thought," he said in an interview with Rolling Stone. "Now, every note I play has a deeper significance." Zakk's life and work were altered by that encounter. He reduced the amount of time he spent touring, took breaks, and started putting his health first. "I used to tour 300 days a year, hardly sleep, and live like I was invincible," he acknowledged in an interview with Blabbermouth. "I now understand that I must pay attention to my body." He still had that heavy metal fire inside of him. Extended solos and later performances proclaimed that he had vanquished the gloom and was prepared for whatever lay ahead, and they burned just as hot. Blood clots were more than simply a survival issue. It was a pivotal moment. In addition to inspiring followers, his triumphant comeback opened up new creative avenues. One of them was Zakk Sabbath, a project that thrust him into the center of the ongoing discussion about how to best pay tribute to a great band's heritage. How they handle Black Sabbath. Zakk Wylde started a band called Zakk Sabbath in 2014 with the goal of performing Black Sabbath's iconic songs, the band that initially got him interested in playing the guitar. Zakk Sabbath, which had Joey Castillo on drums, Blasco on bass, and Zakk on lead vocals, wasn't interested in copying the originals. They played songs with reduced tunings, harsher riffs, and occasionally a hint of southern rock, such as Into the Void and War Pigs Paranoid. This strategy was commended. According to Loudwire, Zakk Sabbath breathes new life into Black Sabbath songs, making them more accessible to a younger generation. Zakk's lengthy solos and continuous crowd participation infused each performance with vitality, turning the stage into a whirlpool of music and passion. It was described by Blabbermouth. Zakk turns familiar tracks into an entirely new experience with riffs that make the group erupt. Still, not all people turned into on board. A few voices on X argued that altering the tuning and structure of the songs turned into a contravention of Black Sabbath's legacy. One user wrote, "Zakk plays nicely, but War Pigs in a decreased key just doesn't feel like Black Sabbath." On Reddit, some fans commented that Zakk seemed to be taking on as opposed to paying tribute. Tony Iommi, the legendary guitarist of Black Sabbath, as soon as stated in an interview with Revolver magazine, "Zakk is a skilled guitarist and I recognize what he's doing, but Black Sabbath has a completely unique experience that cannot be absolutely recreated." While now not a right-away criticism, his words introduced gas to the continuing debate approximately the authenticity of Zakk Sabbath. Zakk though remained steadfast. In a publish on X, he declared, "Zakk Sabbath is my manner of pronouncing thanks to Black Sabbath, the band that changed my lifestyles." To him, it wasn't just a cowl band. It became an adventure returned to his young people, to the moment he first heard Paranoid and fell in love with the guitar. Zakk Sabbath suggests continue to draw crowds powered through high-octane performances and moments whilst Zakk stalks stories about his connection with Black Sabbath right from the stage. In an interview with Guitar World, he stated, "On every occasion I play Sabbath's music, it seems like I'm reliving the early days of choosing up the guitar. Whilst the undertaking stays divisive, it has carved out its own location, a deeply non-public tribute that remains real to the uncooked soul of rock. This undertaking is extra than only a bankruptcy in Zakk Wylde's profession. It's a bridge among him and the musical values that fashioned who he's. But Zakk's tale does not prevent at reimagining a legacy. A decadecile-lengthy bond with a heavy steel icon is about to show the page to something deeper and more layered. The adventure with Ozzy Osbourne. In 1987, at simply 2 decades old, Zakk Wylde stepped into a first-rate turning point in his profession, turning into the lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne, a legend of heavy metallic. Chosen from masses of candidates based totally on a self-recorded demo tape, Zakk quickly joined the band, bringing in a wave of recent power. No relaxation for the Wicked marked the beginning in their collaboration, but it changed into No More Tears that took their bond to the subsequent stage. In an interview with Traditional Rock magazine, Zakk said, "Operating with Ozzy became my dream. I was just a kid from New Jersey, and suddenly I was making track with my hero." The blend of Ozzy's unmistakable vocals and Zakk's heavy riffs and emotive solos created an unforgettable sound. Their courting went beyond professional collaboration. Via endless tours and time spent off stage, Zakk and Ozzy built a long-lasting friendship that spanned a long time. Nevertheless, the journey wasn't continually smooth. In 2006, Ozzy determined to explore a brand new route with guitarist Gus G, prompting Zakk to step far away from the band. In an interview with Blabbermouth, Zakk shared, "I appreciate Ozzy's decision. He wanted to refresh the music and I centered on Black Label Society. As opposed to letting the trade preserve him back, he threw himself into his very own band and launched Shot to Hell that identical 12 months, reaffirming his bold musical identity." In 2017, Zakk rejoined Ozzy, a milestone moment for each of them. He contributed to the album Everyday Guy, wherein tracks like Beneath the Graveyard showcased the seamless synergy between Zakk's signature guitar work and Ozzy's haunting voice. In an interview with Loudwire, Ozzy stated, "Zakk is a vital part of my music. He brings the energy and soul I need." Their live shows for the duration of this era proved the point, with Zakk unleashing extended solos that kept audiences mesmerized. Metallic Injection wrote, "Zakk's go back to Ozzy felt like that they had never been apart. Their chemistry on level is something uncommon. The bond among Zakk and Ozzy extends far past track. It's a testimony to long-time period loyalty and connection in a world that constantly shifts." The ups and downs they endured not handiest sharpened Zakk as a guitarist, however, additionally found out him to be a devoted, resilient friend. Zakk's journey with Ozzy Osbourne is an inseparable part of his legacy. And in the back of that level lighting fixtures is a Zakk Wylde who is heartfelt and grounded, someone who has quietly constructed his identification no longer simply through skill, however via love and honesty, closer to song, circle of relatives, and himself. Past the spotlight, Zakk Wylde, frequently seen as a fiery Viking warrior on stage, leads a simple and deeply grounded existence off stage. In view that 1989, he has been married to Barbara Wylde, who has remained a constant pillar in the course of his career. Together, they have 4 kids, Haley Ray Hendrendrick Sabbath, and Jesse. In spite of a disturbing traveling schedule, Zakk continually makes time for his family. Unlike many rock artists who stay in the whirlwind of visiting, Zakk makes it a priority to be present for his family, something hardly ever visible in the global of heavy metal. His reference to lovers is also a vital part of who he is. At a Black Label Society show held in a small club, the sound device abruptly failed and the energy went out. Zakk failed to go away the degree. As a substitute, he stepped down into the crowd, shaking hands, chatting, and taking pics with enthusiasts for 10 minutes. Metallic Injection cited, "Zakk Wylde incorporates the power of a warrior, however his heart is heat and honest." These seemingly small gestures shape effective bonds, reflecting the deep respect he holds for folks who aid his song. Zakk's music is shaped via a mix of influences, specifically the intersection of heavy metals, electricity, and blues' emotional depth. In an interview with Revolver Mag, he stated, "Black Sabbath was the start, but blues and southern rock taught me how to tell memories through the guitar." His gambling fashion, wherein competitive riffs meet rich, soulful melodies, comes via vividly in tracks like Stillborn by way of Black Label Society. That song, with its sincere lyrics and heavy but gradual burning sound, reveals a rare introspective facet a long way removed from the intense photo he portrays on Degree. Zakk Wylde is more than a rock celebrity. He is a husband, a father, a friend, and a storyteller living with authenticity each on Degree and off. Those ordinary aspects shape a multidimensional figure who is going past the legendary guitarist photograph. And his journey is a long way from over. New tours and innovative initiatives await, continuing the never-finishing story of Zakk Wylde. So, which second in Zakk Wylde's journey left the strongest effect on you? Proportion your mind inside the comments. Hit like and subscribe to our channel to preserve up with greater inspiring testimonies of tune legends. See you in the subsequent motion pictures.